So how can you create more psychological ownership? I call it the law of involvement, one of the 12 laws of persuasion, also known as the IKEA Effect. People are willing to pay more for IKEA furniture they built themselves than identical pre-assembled pieces. People value it more by doing more. Stop doing all the work for your prospects. Get them to assemble the solution together with you. The IKEA Effect turns customers' effort into higher prices and fewer objections. So if you don't know, IKEA is a global furniture store founded in Sweden, has 300 stores around the world, and it's known for its ready-to-assemble, and yes, you got to assemble it, home furniture. Now, I've done some of these before. Sometimes they take more work than you think, but are people willing to pay more? Let's do it.
Maximize your influence. Kurt Mortensen is the author of Persuasion IQ, Laws of Charisma, and the best-selling book, Maximum Influence.
So the IKEA Effect is a bias in our brains that people assign higher value to products, outcomes, or ideas that they have personally helped create or assemble. This term was coined by Dan Ariely in the paper titled The IKEA Effect and was published in the Journal of Consumer Psychology. So they did multiple experiments, including assembling IKEA furniture. They also did some folding of origami and building Lego sets. They found that people were willing to pay more for items they had constructed themselves than for identical pre-assembled versions. It's also known as effort justification. People inflate the value of something to justify the time and energy they invested into it. And it also creates psychological ownership. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Welcome back to Maximize Your Influence. Kurt Mortensen here, podcast 603, as we learn about persuasion, motivation, influence, and today the law of involvement or the IKEA Effect. So the more you can get someone to take ownership over the process, over creating something, they value it more, they are willing to pay more. And when you have people contribute, say, those ideas or creating portions of a contract or an agreement, it makes them far more committed in defending the final deal, to accepting the final deal. So if you can get through that process of contribution, they're giving you ideas, they're helping you out, they're doing more, that's going to be easier for you to persuade and influence. Because sometimes we think we should do it all, take care of it all. Not necessarily. Let's talk about Betty Crocker. Now we're going way back to the 1950s. This is General Mills. They launched these Betty Crocker, if you've seen them before, they're instant cake mixes. The mix already had the powdered eggs, the milk, everything. It was the ultimate time saver for everybody at home. Cakes became very simple, but it didn't sell. Back to the drawing board, they found out the mixes were too easy. Many people felt they were cheating, right? Deceiving their families and guests. And the cake tasted great. People would assume they spent hours baking it from scratch. Again, this was a brand new thing. So the mix made them feel like frauds. What'd they do? They got people more involved, made it less simple. They removed the powdered egg from the mix. Now it says add water and 1 fresh egg. That little thing changed everything. Now people felt they were baking, they were participating, they had ownership. So that little extra small step, cracking 1 egg, gave people psychological ownership and helped them be more involved in the process. Have you seen the Build-A-Bear shops in the mall? You pay all this money to stuff and assemble your own bear. You could buy a pre-made one for less, people willing to pay more to create it themselves. You'll see meal kits now where instead of all being done for you, there's a little preparation. You might have to chop or cook something or assemble something because people feel more involved. They're part of the effort. They're part of the solution. So let's call that the persuasion blunder of the week. Don't! Providing the perfect solution. When your solution is too good, too perfect, people are like, wait a minute. Give them a chance to see something that's not quite perfect, and let's make it perfect together. Because when you develop a complete, polished, ready-made solution without giving your prospect any input or a chance to contribute or a chance to customize it or a chance to make it a little bit better, that's the blunder. They never develop that psychological ownership. So perceived value remains lower, price sensitivity increases and the commitment's not there. The objections just increase because something's not quite right. They haven't had a chance to participate. I mean, you don't want to make it too difficult. You do want to make it as easy as possible, get them involved, but get them to participate. Here's an example. Working with Cadillac. Used to be everyone buy a new car every 3 or 4 years. They called it itch cycle. It's a little longer now. But what they would do is they would make it easy, get people engaged, involved, get their opinion. 3, 4 years down the road, you bought a Cadillac, knock on your door. It's the Cadillac dealership, said, hey, here's the new model right here. Can you drive it around for a few weeks and let us know what you think? Participating made it much easier. They were engaged, they were involved, new car smell, neighbors complimented them. It's a nicer ride. All the way around makes it more persuasive. Get them involved, get them to do the IKEA effect. So the blunder here, a lot of professional persuaders think that maximum value is to do as much as work as possible for the client and prospect. And there's a time and place for that. But if they're not engaged, if they're not feeling ownership, if they haven't bought in, back up and get them working on the IKEA effect. So bottom line from the study, people invest more when they create, assemble, come up with, than just to purchase it. In fact, in this study, the ones who built an IKEA storage box were willing to pay 63% more for it than the participants who received a pre-assembled version. And this was true with the origami they built themselves, the Legos they built themselves. It was worth more because they had spent the time to build it. Now, this is important too. Labor only increases the valuation, the price, when the task is successful and completed. When things were incomplete, they didn't get it done, then it didn't count. The task had to be complete. So if you're dealing with products, training, onboarding, the assembly or the customization steps needs to be successful. There has to be visible accomplishment. If it's too complex, too frustrating, parts are missing, things are backfiring, things didn't work out, it will not have the same effect. So when people feel they help create the outcome, they don't just like it more, they value it more, defend it more, and stay committed longer. And that brings us to listener email.
Oh boy!
Elena from Mexico City, Mexico. She says, I'm persuading with power. Thanks, Kurt, for the podcast. You are welcome. She says, I run a small online education business, and I've noticed that students who only consume my pre-recorded courses have much lower completion rates and satisfaction than those who attend the live workshops. I know people love digital products, but I'm seeing higher success rates when I'm meeting one-on-one with busy professionals and offering seminar trainings. What should I do to increase the success rates with digital products? Elena, this is IKEA Effect. It's too easy, too simple. You're at home. It looks like it's free with these pre-recorded courses. There's not a value to that one. Get them started, get them going, and then add the seminars, add the one-on-ones. Do it a little bit more of the time. Get them invested more. Maybe you need to add a little homework, rewards, points, things they can do to put a little more effort into it. Because anybody can watch a video online, but did they learn? Is there a quiz? Is there a test? Is there points? Is there a reward at the end when they watch so many where they can come to a live event? Any of those things, get them involved, get them engaged, get them building, get their ideas. Maybe have them sit down and create their own course as far as how many weeks it's going to take, how many hours a day they're going to spend, and get them more engaged and involved is one of the keys. So what else can we do to add this IKEA effect, the law of involvement, this engagement? How are we going to apply this? The first one, I've talked about this time and time again, great persuaders, great influencers ask 3 times more questions. Ask discovery questions. Carefully craft some open-ended questions that require the prospect, the customer, the client, or even coworker describe their situation, their challenges, their goals. What are their outcomes? What does the perfect solution look like to them? How do they think they should solve it? What have they tried in the past? Making them build a case for change. This works because it helps the other person invest cognitively and emotionally into articulating the problem and the solution. So prepare 4 or 5 high-quality questions, get them going, get the conversation going. Did I get that right? Let me repeat. Is this what you really mean? Get them going, get them thinking. We see a lot more companies now using structured frameworks. Lets the buyer articulate the problem before any solution is ever presented. Another thing to do, get them engaged, some autonomy, options, give them choices. Never more than 3, 2's probably better, 2, 3 options that they feel like they're choosing, that they're part of the solution. They're going to decide the package, the timeline, the terms, whatever it is you can add in there that they can make that choice. Now with choices, make sure they all win for you. You don't care if they have option A, B, or C. They feel like they're choosing. Too many options will make the mind explode. Like the supermarket that was selling jams. Here's 16 jams, try them out. Whatever one you like the best, we'll give you a coupon. Too much, they reduce the number, increase sales. So that's another thing you can do to increase the IKEA effect. Because they're developing more psychological ownership over the final version. They're choosing the one that's best for them. So create, again, 2, maybe 3 pre-designed packages or modules, whatever it is that they can choose from. And let them choose. You see this with cars now, and Nike does this where you can choose. All right, what material, what color, what style, and people will pay a premium for that, but they have choices instead of just one thing that's getting forced down their throat. Another one, maybe a questionnaire they can fill out online, a scorecard, a self-assessment, some type of diagnostic tool to find out what's going on. This requires effort, produces personal insights, and creates ownership of both the problem and a potential solution. Now, it doesn't need to be long, 5, 8, maybe 10 questions. It's quick, it's simple, and provides valuable personalized feedback for them and for you as a persuader. Scorecard, quiz, IQ, one of those can get people more engaged and involved. Because remember, your prospects, your clients, your customers are researching you before you even get there. So you have to find out more about them. Where are they in the persuasion process? It used to be A to Z. Oh, this is our company. This is what we do. Here's our products. Most of them have researched you. You have to find out, are they starting at C, maybe M, maybe they're at the letter Y. And by doing an assessment, you're getting them more engaged and find out exactly where you need to start the persuasion process. Because if you start at A and they're at M, they're not going to listen for very much longer. So maybe you could do a collaborative proposal, a brainstorming session. That way they're participating. So when the prospects invest effort in editing, building the proposal, it stops being your proposal and it becomes the plan. You're working on it together. Get the feedback, make the changes together, run it by them. You're working on it together. Gets people more engaged and involved. You can do that during a negotiation. Invite them to draft sections of the agreement that they're concerned about. They can prioritize and rank the different issues that they have and build it together. And if you're not sure where to start with something like that, maybe it's just a draft, a fill in the blank, a templated document. Here's the standard we can adjust. Those type of things can get the ball rolling. So instead of having a training session, you can have a strategy session. So you want to replace those one-way, do-it-this-way presentations with interactive workshops. They're finding solutions. They're working together. They're building strategies and plans and coming up with those solutions together. They're going to have more ownership over that. So if you're going to do a session like that, don't make it a forced training session. No, this is a strategy session. This is interactive. We're going to do this together. You can create exercises, hands-on activities, brainstorming sessions. It's always worked well in the world of persuasion and influence to ask people's advice. Hey, you're the expert. What do you think? What would you do? Would you do it this way? Have you tried that before? Get the advice, get their opinion, and they'll have more ownership. So all the participants are coming together, building the solutions together. Rather than someone saying, here's the solution, this is what you need to do. Nobody likes to do that. They want more ownership. So remember, there has to be success here. If you want someone to pay extra for IKEA furniture or for whatever it is, it has to look good. It has to work out. It can't be half finished. They can't feel frustrated. They can't feel like a failure. So when you are onboarding someone or creating setup steps, you've got to make sure this is going to be successful. This is going to be a no-brainer. It's going to be relatively easy. that there's not going to be failure or frustration, because that will sabotage the IKEA effect. That will sabotage any ownership or any type of involvement you're trying to get, because no one likes to feel like a failure or frustrated. Where's frustration come from? Unmet expectations. When you're frustrated, you expected to finish the furniture. You expected to find a solution. And when that doesn't happen, frustration kicks in and it reduces the value of everything that you're doing. So if you're working with a new coworker, a new customer, and let's say you're getting them involved, you're setting something up, you're configuring something, it's always better to have them input the information, have them go to the website, have them create it, instead of you doing everything for them. So if you are doing a setup or onboarding process, small, easy, achievable tasks that they can do, that they can complete themselves. Law of esteem, another one of the 12 laws of persuasion. When you bruise someone's esteem, they can't do it, they can't figure it out, they feel dumb, that slams the doors on the world of persuasion and influence. But when you boost their esteem, you're walking them through it, they're doing it, it opens the doors to influence. So you can provide them the support, maybe even show them how to do it, but avoid doing all the work for them, all the steps for them. Again, don't overwhelm them. Remember FITD, foot in the door. Break larger decisions or implementations to a series of smaller, escalating commitments a little bit at a time. Remember the study, psychology students, hey, will you participate in a sensory perception study Saturday at 7 a.m.? Only 26% said yes, but when you break it down to smaller yeses, smaller pieces, it more than doubled the people that said yes to doing that. Hey, will you help us with the study? Yes. There's an easy yes. And that's the key. Always get your easiest yeses first. Hey, you available on Saturday? Well, yeah. 7 a.m., can you be there? Yes, yes, yes. So when you look at foot in the door, the easiest decisions first, the easiest yeses first, the easiest tasks first. That's why it's important when you go into any persuasion or especially negotiation, you should look at the 10 things that you need to do, the 10 yes questions you need to get, the 10 things you need to solve, and do the easiest ones first. Everyone goes to money. That's the hardest one to get a yes for. Why not start with the easiest? All right, delivery date, July 1st. All right, done. Who's on the team? Bob, Frank, Joe, and Sally. Yes, 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 yes. And if you get a weird no, get some weird resistance, do the set aside. Let's set that aside for now. And then come back to this very last one final thing to solve. That's completely different engagement than starting with the hard issues first. So each yes, each step that's done successfully increases psychological ownership and engagement and involvement. And then the next yes is easier. The next larger commitment's easier. And it feels more natural and valuable. And you'll watch the objections go down. But get those commitments, get the yeses, easiest yeses first, easiest steps first, get a track record there. That'll be a very helpful persuasion tool in your toolbox. And another part of engagement is visualization. If your prospect, your customer can't see it mentally, it's not going to happen physically. So if you can use visual language like imagine, picture this, get them to think about it, to see it, taste it, touch it, feel it, and it requires the other person to mentally build that experience, that outcome, that solution in their brain, it's easier to get the yes. It has to be created mentally. They have to be able to visualize it. It creates cognitive effort, and it creates that ownership because they can see it. Imagine 6 months from now when this has worked perfectly and it solved all your problems. What does that look like to you? Explain that to me. Get them to see it. Get them to visualize it. I mean, you heard about visualization in sports. How many times does an Olympic athlete visualize that gold medal? 1, 2, no, thousands of times. Because each time you visualize it and see it mentally, it becomes more real. So there we have it. That's podcast 603. That's a wrap. Get them engaged. Get them building the IKEA furniture. Get them involved. Ask more questions. There's a lot of different things that you can do here to help people have that ownership, to see it mentally, and that's a powerful tool in your toolbox. So thanks for being here today. Questions, comments, rude remarks, take them all at maximizeyourinfluence@gmail.com. Let's get you more involved. Let me prove my worth. Send me a presentation, a recording, a video, and audio. Let me analyze it for you, and I'll give you the feedback on how to have more charisma, more riz, how to be more engaged, how to be more involved. Because there's no such thing as a boring topic, only a boring presenter. Some topics are harder than others, I'll give you that. But let me take your presentation skills to the next level, because anybody can inform, but are you influential? Anybody can present, but are you persuasive? I'll put the link in the email and also where you're listening to this podcast. Again, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. Master these skills. This is proven science. This works. Become a better negotiator, more influential, get a little more riz in your life, and go out and persuade with power.